Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. This is Preacher Miles, host of the SOS the Shout Out Show. I hope that you're having a great Friday. Great Friday is a lead into a great weekend. We have a lot of things going on today. I just want to give some shouts of encouragement and support. We'll give a shout out to brother Sheldon. He lost his sister. We hope that the funeral went well today. We have Sister Ree, who's up in Michigan, attending to her family and being supportive. Grandma passed away, so we're dealing with a lot of things, man. But you know what? We're trying to keep everything on a good note and keep everything flowing, if you will. You see me with my hands, but here's the deal: our trusted consultant producer Satana is not with us today. She'll be with us a little bit later, inshallah. She's thought that you know what? She's not here, and I'm very excited. The reason why she's not here is that she's doing good work. And she's helping a lot of people. We talked about this with Ramadan, what's going on Ramadan. So what she's doing is essentially helping box up food for the drive-by iftars. And I will be doing that, I believe, tomorrow. I have to check and make sure I'm on the list. But these things are important. This is the spirit of Ramadan. So I just want everybody to relax. You can look around and see that we've kind of opened up the space a little bit. Have to. You know why? Because I got a big ego. So I'm going to give some shout outs to some people who've been holding me down. I'll give a shout out to Mary Moss. I'll give a shout out to Maxine B. Kate. I want to give a shout out to my brother JT Reed. All of you guys been holding down. I'll give a shout out to Big Clifford Moss Jr. I want to give a shout out to everybody because I'm in a good space. And sometimes when you're in a good space, you just open up your space. You know what I'm saying? So I thought we'd kick off today a little bit differently. I had a kind of a laugh, if you will. Our subject today, if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says people we don't hang out with anymore. Now, it's two people you don't hang out with anymore. And someone you hang out with, you just kind of lost touch, and they were good friends, and we had so many fond memories. But things happened, kids and all that type of stuff. And so you'll have that memory, right? And then you'll have the memory of people who you don't deal with because why? Something happened. Like something encouraged you to never hang out with these people again. And it's a feeling because they never figure out why you don't hang out. They still call you. Does that happen to you? People, if you've distanced yourself from, you don't want them to come around, but they keep calling anyway. So, all right. So I just want to give a shout out for that. This is Ramadan day number 4. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, of course, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. And we'll give another shout out, of course, to Bayan Islamic Graduate School, of which I am a product. So before we get into it, we want to make sure we give a shout out to everybody coming out. I want to give a shout out again. Again, we got Sister Ree. Please, Ree, give a shout out and please express our condolences to your family. I know you had a lot going on in mission. You've been up and back. We still want you to make sure that you take care of yourself. You take care of that medication and things like that. We want you to be right. We want everything else to be right, but we want you to be right. And I want to give a shout out also to my brother Rick, my big brother Rick, man. I have to call him. You talk about people you don't hang out with. We just got busy. We're both entrepreneurs doing things, but when I see him, it's like, that's the big brother I've known since I was 4 or 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a shout out to my man, Altaf Rashid, the ambassador, the Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. You guys understand that this is a very, very important role because he doesn't have to worry about immigration, passports, currency exchange. Listen, Altaf, your Canadian dollar is worth the same as the dollar down here. That's how much we love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to give a shout out to Sister Ika. Ika normally comes on the show, but with the Ramadan thing, she's basically waking up at this time. And I want to give a shout out. She may or may not be on the show today, but I want to give a shout out to Sister Rabina, who put some really interesting thoughts in my mind about vaccination and stuff like that. And I'm going to do that research, and maybe we'll have a show about that later. But this show, brothers and sisters, and I'm so rude. If you're on the show for the first time, please forgive me. Please forgive me. That was a Ramadan faux pas. I normally introduce or give the ground rules for anybody coming to the show for the first time. I went straight to my shout out show family. I thought something was off, but it's all good. If you're coming to the show for the first time, this may have been a benefit to you that I shout out everybody that comes and support the show. So if it's your first time coming on the Shout Out Show, you know what? We appreciate you. And to show that appreciation, listen, there's no response, no strings attached. Come enjoy our platform. While I'm the host, I don't own this platform. The people make the show, and I keep saying that. So come on the show, get in the comments section, let us know what you're thinking. Express yourself. We'll express ourselves. That's what the Shout Out Show is. And we're going to keep this thing going. So thank you, Brother Altaf. Appreciate it. Like I said, we're working from a different angle, so we appreciate you guys giving the preacher man a little love here, a little latitude. So before I get deep into this topic of people we don't hang out with anymore, and it's usually a funny story about why you don't hang out. Like, on Fridays, we are recommended to read Surah Kaf out of the Quran. We're recommended to read Surah Kaf out of the Quran. There's a lot of blessings in it. Listen, as a comedian, I love the story. Okay, I love the story. I love the learning opportunities in the story. But my favorite part of Surah Kaf is when Moses has to go and find a man who has more knowledge than him. And the stipulation from the guy is, I don't think you're patient enough to hang out with me. And Moses is like, no, I can. I can do it. He's like, no, you can't. And he goes, if you question me while I'm doing these things, you got to go. And so he does the first thing. The guy goes, like, why'd you do that? The guy goes, what'd I tell you? And he goes, he does the second thing. He goes, why'd you do that? He goes, why'd I tell you? And the third one is almost like I can hear my dad say, actually, you got to go. I don't care if you're Moses or not, you got to go. And I think it was just funny, So I don't think those guys, Qadir and Moses hang out anymore. But it's that type of thing. We all have that situation. We've been involved with family members. We like, I don't know if I can hang with you anymore. Because it's always something we can do. But in most cases, we all come back together. It's love there. There's understanding. So you don't have to do that. So I'm going to play this clip, brothers and sisters, because I thought I would never see this. Now, let me cue this for you. Okay, let me cue this up for you. This is Pat Robertson, the conservative Pat Robertson, who doesn't like anything. He's pro-police. Now, I don't hang out with Pat Robertson, never would, but just for a minute, I wish I was in a room when he made this statement about police. You got to see this. I mean, I'm not saying this is a groundbreaking statement, but it does give me a feeling that the ground underneath my feet is moving a little bit. This is Pat Robertson talking about police. Check it out.
Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson, televangelist, controversial figure. You can say Pat Robertson. Yeah, he's controversial. He's about as conservative as they come. Here's Pat Robertson with an impassioned plea to end the police violence. Pat Robertson.
I am pro-police, folks. I think we need the police. We need their servants, and they do a good job. But if they don't stop this onslaught, they cannot do this. The police in Virginia picked up a lieutenant in the Army and began to give him trouble. And our state police are highly trained. But why they don't stop this? And this thing is going on in Minnesota, but the Derek Chauvin, they ought to put him under the jail. He has caused so much trouble by kneeling on the death of George Floyd. It's just, on his neck. It's just terrible what's happening. And the police, why don't they open their eyes to what the public relations are? They've got to stop this stuff.
Open their eyes. Pat Robertson. Now listen. Pat Robertson is talking to police. He's saying, but he also should be talking to people who are trying to somehow justify what happened to George.
Okay, look, I'm going to tell you something. First of all, I don't know where Pat Robertson got that sweater from, but he needs to give it back. That was the reddest sweater I've ever seen in my life. That is a River Nile sweater. That is a plague sweater. It is the reddest sweater. He looked like a vein, okay? Pat Robertson, I don't know how old he is. I think he's pushing his early 200s. I don't know. But you got to give love for the guy. Every once in a while people have a wake up, and we meet people along the way in our lives who say things and do things that, of course, they shock us. They shock us to our core. Listen, I have a friend of mine, and I call him a friend, but we don't hang out anymore. He might be watching the show, but he knows why. He likes excitement. Now, when I say like excitement, I mean, not like, hey, let's go to the ball game. And he likes excitement. Like, let's go dangerous places with money type of guys. He was like that. Hey man, when we go over here, I'm like, for what? He said, to see what's popping off. I'm not a see what's popping off guy. I remember my junior year in high school. This is the type of brother he was. I still love him to this day. We can't hang out. I love his family, but we only gonna meet in open places. In case something happens, there are witnesses. He was a year ahead of me. We went to a party one time, and we get to the party, and I'm like, it was that type of that part of town that was so iffy that when your parents asked you where you were going, you wouldn't tell them. You said, "Where you going?" Out. So this is funny. We get up to this party, and I'm like, "Hey man, where's the party?" I thought it was in Northwest by my grandmother's house. It was in Southeast by this open air drug market. So it's like the drug dealers were having a cookout. So he's like, "Let's go to the drug dealer cookout." And I'm like, "Let's just go buy meat and cook it at our house. What do you think?" So he's like, no, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here. And I was like, man, I'm not sure. The only thing that made me go, brother, this is really dumb. This is really dumb. The only thing that made me go is that it was daytime. Okay. So I'm going to this cookout with some notorious dudes, and you grew up with them. I don't want to say they're notorious dudes. Let's just say they do notorious things. So we pull up and we're about to get out. He goes, "Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question." I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Did you bring your pistol?" I said, what I need a pistol for?" He said, "Well, don't worry. I bought one for you." I'm like, hey, I've never been to a barbecue where you need to have a firearm. And he's like, no. In case something happened. I'm like, dude, I don't like to go to places to eat where I could get shot. And he was like, no, don't worry about it. Long story short, it was the best barbecue ever, but I ate it in the car. If you have some stories of people who you don't hang out with, feel free to show them. Let me get to our box. We had some people that came through. We'll give a shout out to Sister Ika. Sister Ika, thanks you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you. We have a busy schedule. She's just coming out of Fajr. Sister Ika, we didn't know we were going to make it on the show, but we shouted you out anyway. Want to give a shout out. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem to you, Sister Sakina. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. I think you are off hanging out with the boys, and that's a good place to be. If you can get any time with your family members, your kids, your brothers and sisters during Ramadan, do it, brothers and sisters, do it. You know what? And I'm trying to do that myself this Ramadan. I'm hoping I can get in I don't want to say a road trip or field trip, just an outing someplace, just to break up a monotony. Big shout out to my brother Adam Khan. Adam is he's like my right hand man when I come to Canada. So when I come to Canada next time, it's going to be myself, Adam, and Altaf, and we're going to do the shout out show right on the Canadian border. In fact, we're going to do it right where you pick up luggage and ask people how they feel about coming to you. I'm messing around. Adam, good to see you, brother. I'm sure you got a story of someone you don't hang out with anymore, and there's a reason. I think that should be a reason. I think that should be the thing. Stories of people you don't hang out with, and there's a reason. So, my favorite story, I don't know if he's watching. Let's just call this guy Scott. Scott is what they call a pretty boy. I'm going to come back and tell you guys a little bit about the Scott story. Let me pop an ad in here, and I'll be right back. Brothers and sisters, we'll be right back with the Shout Out Show. Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute, let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I know I'm supposed to say it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump would be a mufti. I digress. Listen, though, for you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayanonline.org, and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's the picture right there. Sound like everybody. Take care. Preach them all. All right, fam. So listen, before I get into this, I want to give a shout out to Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Again, that's Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Shouting you out. We're going to shout out to the ShOUT Foundation as well. And though she's not here, we're going to shout out Sister Satana Whitfield doing good work in the field. I mean, I am so happy. I'm going to be in that same situation come tomorrow. So believe it or not, brothers and sisters, you may see the shout out show happen live at a food distribution spot somewhere in the city. So I'm thinking of things, and I'm just kind of keeping it. Well, the kids say keep it real. You know, you just can't keep things honest, man. Sometimes you have disagreements with people. I'm going to tell you the story of Scott. Won't say his name. Scott and I were cool dudes, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Now, here's the deal about Scott. Scott was mad good looking. He was a mad good looking dude. Like a mad good looking, like women would see Scott and melt. Like, oh, he had a baby face. He had brown eyes. He had the brown hair, the curly hair, the waves, like the natural waves. He didn't have to have a wave cap. He just, whoosh, it's like wave. You know, but the problem with Scott, and at that age, it's not a big deal. We like girls. At 16, 17, 18, we like girls. That's natural. That's nothing I'm saying new. We like girls. The problem with Scott was Scott had a problem. He didn't like girls. He liked other guys' girls. Let me explain that. He liked other guys' girls, meaning that there could be a girl over here that was eligible. Scott didn't like that. He'd see a guy with the girl and he'd go, I want that girl. You can see what the problem is, why we might not hang out anymore. Well, one of my good friends, I won't say his last name, but his name is Steve. Steve was a good dude. We always had a great relationship. Steve was kind of inclined to the criminal life. Let's just call it what it is. He liked the criminal side of things, and Steve got caught up, and he had to do a little bit. Okay, no problem. Steve does a little bit. The neighborhood knows. He's still my guy. In fact, I like Steve because Steve got me out of a couple of jams that I didn't even know. He stepped in and was like, yo, it's not going to be that with this dude. And I appreciate that from my main man, Steve. Now, here's the problem. Steve did about 18 months at this spot. He was locked up 18 months. Steve had a woman, I believe they married. She was a devoted sister, like a devoted sister. Like she loved herself some Steve. So Steve came home and they had what's called a get out of jail party. I don't know if you guys heard of these before. It's called a get out of jail party. And in this get out of jail party, you know, Steve was older than us, a little bit older. And so was this girl. You know, he was like his 20s and she was like, you know, in her 20s. But we're newbies, you know, we're going to the party. It's a big deal. So Scott's like, hey, man, he calls me, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm getting ready to go to this party. He's like, really? You mind if I tag along? I don't know what I'm thinking, brothers and sisters, but I'm like, yeah. Okay, total brains freeze. You don't take a guy that likes other guys' girls to a party of a guy that just got out of prison. You can do the math. You can see where this is going. We get to the party. It is cracking. This is a fun party. Not I mean, no, I ain't talking, you know, no libations. I'm like, the personalities in the party make the party hilarious, fun. We got guys cracking jokes about Steve getting caught when he got locked up. What the cops said, you know, this it's not ghetto fabulous. It's just, you know, because it wasn't even the ghetto. It's like suburban thing. We're just enjoying Steve being home and just having a great time. Everybody's coming from the neighborhood. I bring Scott. Now, as we approach the house, I say, hold on a minute, Scott. I know you have a particular problem with other girls' guys. I said, so Scott, here's the deal. There's a woman here. Her name, so what's her name? I said, her name is Tina. I said, you can mess with any other girl here, but not Tina. Why not Tina? Because Tina was Steve's girl. I said, so do not mess with Tina. When you ask if a girl says her name and it begins with a T, run away. If it begins with any alphabet that's around T, R, S, T, U, Q, if it's around the letter T, run away. He says, I got it. I'm like, all right, cool. The party's having a good time. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. I mean, it was like cookout. It was like someone made like this macaroni and cheese on the grill. It was fantastic. The party is happening. I'm having a good time. I'm telling jokes. I'm funny this day, people. I'm funny. I'm cracking jokes. Steve walks up and he's looking around. I'm like, hey, what's going on, big guy? He goes, yeah. I said, what's up? I said, you need anything? He said, no. He said, preach. You see my girl? I'm like, ooh. I'm like, what girl? He said, Tina, fool. I'm like, oh, Tina. I know what she looked like. Like, it's a lot of Tinas here. He's like, preach, stop playing. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, you know what? She probably around here just busy. You know what I started doing, brothers and sisters? I started looking around, not for Tina. I started looking for Scott because I have lost Scott at this point in time. And I'm looking around like, where in the world is Scott? I can't find, I'm panicking. Where is Scott? Please, look, I'm like, please, Lord, don't let Scott be in the vicinity of Tina. Please, don't let Tina be in the vicinity of Scott. Please, I am in here where a man just got out of jail. In any regards, now it's a mad scramble. Everybody's trying to find Tina. I'm trying to find Scott. We look around. Tina's coming around the corner. Directly behind her is Scott. And I'm like, oh boy. So Tina walks up. Of course, Steve is like, where you been? She stutters. And then she breaks out. I was just talking to him, and then he tried to. She's like, I was talking to him, and I didn't want to give him my number, but he was like that, and I was lonely when you were in jail. All this stuff just spills out, and I'm like, oh my God. She's like, who? She goes, him, and all the heads turn and look towards Scott. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking, oh, it doesn't look good for Scott. Steve is old school. Steve is old school, like an old school G. He goes, okay. He said, yo, dude. Here's where it gets tricky. He goes, who you here with? I'm looking at Scott going. Scott goes, I'm here to preach. I'm like, oh. So Steve goes, listen, man, let me talk to you in the corner a minute. I'm like, hey, what's up, Steve? He goes, you know, I know you for a long time. You're a good brother, and I like you, man. My mama likes you. My sister likes you. My grandma likes you. He said, but we got a problem. There's a violation of the code. I was like, what? Look, I don't even stutter. Look at me. What's the code, Steve? He goes, it's the code where you don't bring people to the party who don't know how to act. He said, did you bring him to the party? I was like, well, you know, I needed a ride. Now stop. I said, Steve, you've always been good to me. Let me just man up. Yes, I brought him to the party. His name is Scott, and he hit on your girl. I apologize. He says, Preacher Moss, you've always been a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate you manning up on this. And I said, yeah. He goes, but I'm going to have to whoop both of you now. I'm like, hey. And he goes, you know, and out of nowhere, people started appearing. I didn't even know they're at the party. And we're standing on this front lawn, and I'm just looking at Scott, and I'm like, well, Scott, we're in a heck of a pickle here. And I go for the okey doke. Steve will come back over here. Look, man, we're still gonna be friends after this. I suggest you get better friends than what you brought to the party. He said, but listen, man, you know, I talked to my mom. My mom gonna keep a plate for you, but we got to put this whooping on. So they walk up. Scott's there. You know, one or two things saying, bam, bam, and I'm like, man, hey, you know how you trying to run and get hit? And I'm like, hey, what boop? Hey, what boop? Hey, what boop? So I'll take it off running. I try to slick move because I'm a thinker, people. I'm a thinker. So I fall down and I'm faking like I'm getting hit. Ay, I hear the two words you never want to hear when you're getting jumped. Oh, well, three words. Really. Stand them up. And I was like, oh. So yeah, man, I'm sitting here getting jacked. So when it was over, Scott apologized. I apologize again. And here's the funny part. Steve is such a good brother. After we were physically assaulted, his family brought over some of the best macaroni and cheese and barbecue ribs and everything. And we sat there. We were all lumped up, but we sat there and we ate. And it was so nice. It's like it was family. It's like, you know what? That whooping didn't matter as much. It's like, no, it hurt. But I have to say, be careful who you bring. So, Scott, if you're out there, if you're wondering why I never ever called you after the incident, that's why. If you want to know why I never returned an email or returned a DM from Facebook, that's why. Steve, talk to you next week. Okay, brothers, this is so look, I want to do a couple things before we get out of here. I want to make sure that we give a shout out to our sponsors, okay? So work with me here. Of course, we have to shout out BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. They are your financial advisors for the future, the past, and the present. If you don't want to go to the website, call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. And I tell people why this is so important. The reason why it's so important, brothers and sisters, because you have to have financial literacy. Too many people in our business, in sports and entertainment, they come into opportunities for wealth, but they let people mismanage their wealth. And when people mismanage their wealth, believe me, when they mismanage it, they can't properly manage it, meaning that they can bring it back. You have very, very few opportunities with money. Make sure you're talking to people who can give you good advice, sound advice, and create pathways for you to hold on to your wealth. All right, I'm done. Call that number, 1-800-679-3175. Everybody call except you, Scott. Don't you call that number. Don't you call that number. Don't call anybody. Don't go to the website either. So I have one more little shout out I'm going to do, and I hope you guys don't mind. We're going to make sure that we give a shout out to Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. We'll be right back. There you are. I know you're looking at your screen going, that's a good looking black man. And you're right. I'm Preacher Moss, and you're not. Today, I want to talk about Olive Branch Muslim Family Services, better known as the people who help people. And I need you to help the people who help people so they can continue to, you guess it, help people. Get it? Got it? Good. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Graphic now. There we go, audio. I'm sorry. We got people talking about Pat Robinson's sweater. Yeah. I'm sorry about that audio piece. Thank you for the shout out, Althoff. That's what I mean. When you have an ambassador from Canada, he's looking out for you. You know what? Because I didn't hit the button, brother. I appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and move this thing off. And I'm going to get out of here. God bless. Hope to see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, hold on a minute. We can't leave. We have a guest, brothers and sisters. Here we go. Sister Satana. Okay, she didn't come on. Hey, thank you, Altaf. If that ever happens again, brother, appreciate you. Just go ahead and do that. You know, I'm working to control. I got spoiled from Sister Satana. Let me just say that. I got spoiled for Sister Satana. So she's not on the show. I thought she was coming on the show. We're going to sneak her in. But listen, everybody, I hope you're off to a great Friday. And Preacher Monsters, the shout out show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See how it is? I got the Ramadan cottonmouth. That is so hilarious, man. It's starting. That's it. Ramadan is here. Love you guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.